Today we are building a dark mage minion who just summoned the cosmic horror for a terrible price. Starting off with the armature and foil for the body, over that goes a thin clay layer followed by the iconic giant eye. With so many layers and smooth shapes, this required a ton of baking and sanding, but the video makes it look instant. For this project, face expression is the key. Minions cause absolute chaos with the most harmless faces. Around the goggles, the contours, teeth, and lips are sculpted for the playful look. And you can't forget this squishy, chubby eyelid pushed up by the goggle. Minions dress for the occasion, so this guy will get a proper warlock fit. Wrap around a sheet of clay to create the robe, glued down and given a proper bake. Next up, adding buttons and sculpting the belt. Now it's time to bring out the details on that iconic goggle. The hinges and straps are carefully placed. To push the detail even further, every single rivet gets attached. Now for his mighty staff. A wire skeleton gets coated in clay. And at the tip, the ultimate minion power source, a banana. I always love these little storytelling details. I will have him hold his precious staff tightly. As mentioned, minions dress for the job. Their outfits change with their role, which is why they are so adorable. We will dress him properly and offer proper sacrifices to summon the real deal. You might be wondering what was offered as a sacrifice. You will find out at the end of the video. His wrist snapped in the oven. Time to rely on modern medical tech and implant a wire into his boneless wrist. You know what? My wrist has also been acting up lately. Word has it that hitting like and subscribe is a proven medical cure for the wrist pain. So you might wanna, Next is the Grimoire. Cut and fold some paper to make the pages. Dyeing with coffee gives an antique look as well as a good smell. Dried pages are gathered into a block, tightly clamped, scratched lightly, and glued at the spine. Adding cotton makes it sturdier. The edges are sanded uniform. For the cover, clay is used for that thick, antique feel. I'll finish off with metal hardware and a strap. You can't be a warlock without a pointy hat. Flat clay is rolled into a brim, and a cone, followed by a band. Actually, looking at it now, this thing looks like it's about to do some Hogwarts sorting. The monster coming out of this hat is Cthulhu, a cosmic entity of unfathomable horror. Ritual just began. The true form will eventually emerge, but right now, only a piece is creeping out, which is a fantastic excuse to only sculpt 4 tentacles. Even with just 4, dozens of tiny suckers have to be attached and blended onto each one. The details really pop as more suckers are added. To break up the silhouette, I added some extra feature to the sides. Octopus tentacles are usually smooth in texture and slender in shape, but a rougher base texture could work better here, saving the slime effect for later. Two shorter tentacles are attached and the sculpting is done. Time to paint. Yellow paint has terrible coverage, but a thin base coat of a warm pink or coral makes the yellow pop so much better. Paying homage for their classic denim overall, the robe is painted blue. And the hat matches. The lining features a deep magical purple. Pro tip: stick and peel the masking tape on clothing first to weaken the adhesive. That way, it won't rip the paint off later. It comes off without damaging the paint like this. Yep, perfect. Everything's on track. Totally meant to do that. Let's move on to other parts that need painting. Cthulhu gets a two-tone job, teal green outside and purplish flesh near the suckers. That's it for the large areas. Airbrushing can always leave messy edges, so the borders need to be cleaned up before brush painting the fine details. Now for what draws the eye first. The eye. I'll paint a barely visible pink for a faint bloodshot look. The iris is painted blue with shaded edges and a crisp black pupil, while a single white highlight in the center gives the miniature a lifelike sparkle. Goggles on, and yep, that's definitely a minion. The button and the Grimoire gets their paint. And for the Grimoire, spell details added inside. Just scribble some unrecognizable runes and geometric shapes. Props are done. Back to Cthulhu. Irregular, mottled painting works best for that gritty, Lovecraftian vibe, and using a sponge makes this super easy. Everything is sealed with matte or gloss varnish. For the eyes, UV resin gives it that wet, glassy look. Next up is the base. A tin case is coated with Vaseline as a mold, and UV resin is poured in for the top plate. Cure it well and it hardens solid. Sanding creates a translucent finish that perfectly diffuses light, which is what we need in this project. The sides are built using epoxy putty. Mix the two parts 1:1. Shape it using the tin case as the mold. And once it's cured, glue it with the top plate. The inside walls are lined with aluminum tape to manage the heat from the LEDs. Now let's carve the summoning circle onto the resin base. We need to completely black out the entire base first. I am going to layer it on thick with primer, metallic color, and then black. The metallic coat in the middle will reflect the light, keeping it from bleeding through the black paint. Masking tape goes down on the top plate to plan the layout and scale, and then everything gets ground out along the sketch lines. The runes and ancient incantations are carefully ground into the surface. Bringing together these cryptic, unreadable characters is what truly brings the summoning circle to life. Next up, installing the LED lighting. Wire the DC adapter and the PWM controller together. Now, this needs to be mounted to the base. Drill holes in the right spots and secure the LED to the wireframe. Looking good. The light turns on perfectly. Time to assemble. The tentacles are positioned and our troublemaker is set in place. They are bound to the base using UV resin. Say hi to Bob and Stuart. Wait, was it Ed and James? Whatever the names are, they died early for having a terrible friend. Here comes a very deep question. Is the guy who sacrificed these cute little fellas the real bad one? Or is the person imagining and building all this the true villain? Now that is a tough call. Anyway, trading just 2 sacrifices for the mythical monster? Now that's a pretty sweet deal. Well, I also need some sacrifices to summon the next video, and your likes and subscribes will make for some excellent nutrition. Leave them safely on the altar down below if you please, and I'll bring something even better next time. The resin brings out that wet, fresh out of abyss glows. For those cute curly hairs, some steel wool is cut, painted, and planted in. Minions are biologically wired to serve the most terrifying villain of their era. He didn't summon this monstrosity by accident or out of curiosity. See the madness hiding behind that innocent smile? By sacrificing his friends for his own desires, he sealed his fate as the worst dark mage imaginable, hidden behind the most innocent facade. That's a wrap on our Dark Mage Minion diorama for today. Get ready for even crazier ideas and cooler sculpt next time. Thanks for tuning in. See ya!